In this video presentation, we will cover the Footprint Expert Overview. There are four major functions and features in the Footprint Expert program that I'll go over. First is the calculators. We have surface mount calculator templates and through-hole calculator templates. There's 144 component families in total, and some of the component families are buried deep in the calculator themselves. If I open up the chip, for instance, we have a dozen different component families, including antennas and diodes and crystals and ferrite beads and filters, so on and so forth. And there are other features in the calculators that you can do. Select demo to fill in some of the package dimensions for the actual part that's stock with the program. Now, these are some of the features that are good in all component families. Like, for instance, let's move pin 1. So if I want to take pin 1 here and I want to move it over here, I select that pin wherever I want pin 1 and set new pin 1. And then it'll arrange all the pins in counterclockwise for whenever pin 1 is. You can also take a pin or two and hide them. If you hide them, it's just going to hide the pin and it's going to skip over it from pin 26 to pin 28. If you delete the pin, remove it, it's going to go from 26 to 27 and it won't skip over it. Now, there's a drop-down panel here for your layers, and I'm going to pick paste mask, and there's your paste mask checkerboard pattern for your thermal tab. So you can drop down here and select any layer that you want to come to the top. There's also a layered color here where you can turn on and off certain features. I could turn off the top pads, I could turn off the top silkscreen, I could turn off the top assembly, solder mask top, paste mask top. See, we go all the way down and then restore the defaults to bring them all back again. Going across the menu, we have Zoom Extents, which is basically Zoom All. We have Zoom Area, where you can click, where you select this and click and drag a window around a certain area that you want to zoom up on. Then Zoom Area will zoom it all. Pan moves the part around. We have Measure, where you can measure between two objects. Click and drag. We have Mirror, where you can mirror the part. And mirror is only good when you want to look at the bottom side of the part. Rotate the part. You can rotate the part in any rotation that you want, and it'll save it that way to the FPX. In the calculators, you have pad stacks menu, but you cannot edit anything. Everything's grayed out. In the calculator, everything is done by calculation. If you wanted to change the pad length, pad width, and the pad spacing, you would click on the footprint panel and click on the Use Manufacturer's Pattern and then type in those dimensions that the manufacturer is recommending. Then calculate after that. To put in a drafting symbol, you can put in your symbols and shapes. You have round, half round, arcs, squares, rectangles, triangles, lines, crosses, and diode symbols. And then you have layers. You can put it on silkscreen top, bottom, assembly top, bottom, solder mask top, bottom, paste mask top, bottom. And that's for shapes. You can put in keep outs. You can put in a keep out any size and shape you want at any coordinate that you want. You could put it like round, a round keep out, a square keep out, a rectangle, or a courtyard. And you can type in the X and Y coordinate of where you want to place that keep out. And then you can have also trace copper, via pour, test point options that you can uncheck or check. Then we have Move to FP Designer. If you really want to get customized in this particular part, you can move the part to FP Designer and then have total access over the pad stacks. You have accessibility over the pad stack layers, the pad stack sizes, everything to do with pad stacks. You see, in the calculator, you cannot edit the pad stacks. but in FP Designer, you have full editing in the pad stacks. This is add footprint to the library, a print feature, which you can print out a data sheet, and then build the part out to your CAD tool. And right now we're set up with Pad Standard over here. I can switch over to Altium Designer or whatever you want. And then you can set up all your layers and all your parameters and save my settings for every single CAD tool output. Footprint Expert supports 25 CAD tools. All the Zuken CAD tools, all the Siemens CAD tools, all the Cadence CAD tools, all the Altium CAD tools, and everything in between, and including 3D modeling. If you click on 3D Step, you can control all the 3D Step parameters. Now, the second feature that we have is the FP Designer program. And the FP Designer program is just where you simply just put in the length, width, and height of the part, put in your courtyard and your assembly polarity markers, turn off any layers that you don't want as far as outlines go, change your 3D model color. In FP Designer, the 3D model is just an extruded block. And after you select OK, you can also do no outline whatsoever if you want to have no shape whatsoever, or a round or a rectangle. And in Footprint Designer, you can create your own pad stacks. You can create your own polarity marking. You literally are using the manufacturer's recommended footprint for every single FP Designer footprint. So Footprint Expert in the Designer option, you have to have a manufacturer recommended pattern with the pad stacks and the pad spacings that the manufacturer recommends. This is for building non-standard packages, very unique packages. The next option that we have is the library. The library, you can save all of your dimensional data and all your recommended patterns and all your case codes, manufacturers, part numbers, and logical descriptions, including the mounting type and the data sheet, the part status, the date that the part was built is always updated. So whenever you build a new part, it'll update that date. Or even if you update a part, it'll fix that date. And then going across, open a library. You go and click on that button and you can open up any one of your FPX files. You can save your FPX file, start a new library. You can import a library. Let's say if I want to import library, batch build. In order to batch build, you can highlight some rows like this, or control click whichever part you want to batch build, or select the upper gray button up here, and then use your batch build to go out and batch build the entire library for whatever options you want. Undo and redo are for when you're editing your FPX file and you're changing things, if you want to undo or redo anything, including adding new parts. If you add a part and you don't want to add it, you can undo it. Searching for things, you can find anything that you want in the library, and you can look in any one of the column headers that you want, or the whole entire library. You can replace, you can find something and replace it. And then you could look in and you can match case, match word, and that's the find and replace button. Now, the clear markers is when you do things like, I'm going to search for something, maybe the misspelling of my manufacturer names, and it highlights all the misspelling manufacturer names, or anything that you search for, it's going to mark it. And if you want to clear those markers, that's where you clear your markers. Now, the same functions are good in all these drop-down menus: create library, open library, save library, import into the library, edit, undo, redo, new, a new row, new rows. You could add as many columns as you want. You can copy and paste data from one cell to another cell. You can delete rows and columns if you want to. If you add a row or add a column and you want to delete it later, you can go ahead and do that. View, search the web. You can search Google. You can search the manufacturer's homepage. Utilities, regenerate library footprint names, physical descriptions, check manufacturer labels, which would be check the manufacturer spelling of the manufacturer names, check the datasheet links, find duplicate entries. This will default to the part number, of course, because you don't want to have duplicate part numbers in your FPX file. There's only one part number. All the part numbers in the world are unique, so you want to have only one part number of a particular kind. There's a bar. There's a gray bar that goes all the way horizontally across your screen. If you put your cursor on it, you can move it up to make more room in your viewable area here, or you can move down. If you select the closed library, which is the negative sign, and then open library, and then open library again, it'll show you the entire library. So I clicked on it twice. Click on it once again, it'll close it up to wherever you last left it, and then close it completely together. The next feature that we have in Footprint Expert is the options, tools, options, and we have two different option files. We have console options, and these are for the units and for the design. These are for the library, setting up your library files, and for the layers, for all your layer assignments and all your colors and whatever layer you want to come to the top or bottom. We have them, we go into our own personal option file. You have to open up the file Save As in order to edit any of the internal defaults. The internal defaults will be all grayed out until you save them under a different name. Then once you do that, you can go to pad stack rules and you can edit your solder masks, your rounded rectangle pad shapes, your manufacturing tolerances, your minimum trim and spacings, minimum trim from pad to pads, 0.15, pad to thermos, 0.2, thermo tabs. You can have all these things, solder mask defined thermo tab, put a solder mask on a thermo tab, percentage of paste that you want to put on a thermo tab, and the spacing between the checkerboard patterns. So this would be the web between checkerboard patterns would be a minimum of 0.2, but you could change all these values to whatever you want. And then for the cathode and anode, for pin names, for diodes and LEDs, you could be alphanumeric or numeric, pin 1 and pin 2 or pin A and pin C. In the drafting, we have all these different options for most, nominal, and least for your 3 different density levels, for your silkscreen outlines, and for your reference designators, and for your pin 1 and polarity dots. Your polarity dots can be a minimum of 0.4 and a maximum of 1 if you want to have a range, or you could have all your dots the same size. This would be put in by pin 1. Then we have for all density levels, all these options here for all your silkscreen density levels. Then we have assembly outlines, your outline width, whether you're going to map it to the minimum, maximum, and your reference designator for your assembly. We have courtyard outlines. Courtyard outlines, you can turn them on, turn them off, yes, no, ignore them completely, whatever you want to do. Your component outline and your terminal outlines for all your terminals. These are the line width, whether you want to put out to your CAD tool or not, yes or no. Local fiducials, if you want to put in local fiducials in some of your, if your BGAs or quad flat packs, 3D colors, these are your default 3D colors. We have components, we have surface mount components. Now here's where you can go ahead and change your origin, pin 1 origin. You want it in the lower left, upper left, wherever you want to put the rotation of pin 1, where you want the origin in the center, or do you want it on pin 1? You want pads on assembly, local fiducials under the certain pitch. But anyway, you can go all the way down here where you can change your pad shapes. If you have a D-shaped terminal lead, you could change your pad shape to D-shape, oblong, rounded rectangle, or rectangle. So you have all these different pad shapes. And by the way, all these options that you can change are going to apply them to every single part that you open. So if you have anything set in options, your solder mask, your paste mask, your pad shape, your drafting outlines, whenever you bring in a part from the FPX file, which is your library, it'll apply your options to those component dimensions. So the only thing that's saved in the actual FPX file are component dimensions. We're going to collapse the component tree here, go into terminals. In terminals, we have the SM grid array. We have for ball grid arrays, we have this entire table here with all the different ball sizes. You can add new ball sizes by simply just clicking anywhere in the cell and insert a new row. And you can insert any ball size that you want and then put in your parameters. What kind of adjustment parameter do you want? What kind of pad variation do you want? How do you want to round that pad off? Solder mask, paste mask, courtyard sizes, and everything else. That's good for all these grid arrays. And your surface mount. So for surface mount SO, so you have your nominal density level here, and you have all your different pin pitches and all your different toe, heels, and sides and courtyard values for the nominal density level, the most density level, and the least density level. So if you go to the rectangular square end, you have nominal density level. We cover all the way from an 01, 005, 0201, 0402, 0603, 0805, 1206, and then larger than a 1206. So we have toe, heel, and side solder joint holes for every chip component in the industry. For through hole, we have a through hole table here. That's where you set your through hole solder mask in case you use paste mask for pin and paste technology. You have your courtyard excess, your hole over the round lead, your hole over the square or rectangle lead. Round the hole size off to the nearest 0.05, minimum annular ring. All these values are user definable. You can change all these values that you want, and every single through hole part that you open, it will apply these rules to your through hole part. And basically that covers all 4 of the main features in Footprint Expert.
Simplify, standardize, and automate an entire IPC and IEC compliant library. Detailed, accurate, reliable, professional. Highest quality footprints and 3D step models, clicks away. Many companies worldwide are easily generating their CAD libraries. You should too. Get a fully functional Footprint Expert evaluation license for any CAD format and demo today. Contact us at PCBlibraries.com or call 847-557-2300.